It's going. Okay, guys. So we'll kind of get rocking a little bit on some of our. This is going to be a class that's basically on what you could just call, managing field contacts, or like the ShivWorks guys call managing unknown contacts. So it's kind of broken into two parts. Which the first part is going to be like from the standpoint of just regular people out and about, and then we'll kind of work from there into more security specific stuff. Because one, all of us spend more time as a regular person than we do on security anyways, and obviously it's a good foundation when it comes to that. So what the purpose of this is going to be is essentially to fill in what I just kind of call like that gray zone, what I think is the most difficult part about kind of the self-defense or the dealing with violence or potential violence. Like, it's very easy to solve problems when, the guy's 30 yards away. It's like, okay, screw you, buddy, let's walk over here. And it's simple if Jared and I are just fighting. Doesn't mean it's easy, but at least it's like, hey, we're fighting. But it's the space in between where things are weird, when you're still trying to suss out what a person's intentions are, what the situation is, what's going on, both in, your regular daily life, and then also, obviously, is our job, for most of us, doing security-related things. So a couple things that we're going to kind of start with, when we're talking about particularly dealing with, in our regular everyday life. So first thing I want to kind of work with you guys on is just what we call the fence. So we're going to do a couple of types of fence. The first one is just going to be what we call like a high compressed fence, which is essentially broken down. It's going to be, I'm going to be talking and trying to keep my hands up and around my face. Why do you think I'm trying to keep my hands up and around my face?
Protect it.
Protect your head, right? Why do I need to protect my head?
Strike.
What?
Strike.
I mean, from strikes, but
Get knocked out.
yeah, to keep myself awake, to keep myself, off the ground, basically when it comes to that. So that's the first and, kind of the primary. And then we're going to get into what I just kind of usually call like a doorman's fence, which is not so much relevant in like kind of our daily life, but particularly as security guys, because at work, we have a different set of circumstances, which means I might be, work bound or duty bound to occupy space, whereas that tends to not be the case, or at least not exactly the same in kind of daily life. So what I want you guys doing when it comes to the high compressed fence is basically, I want you to work on, and obviously we're going to rep this out, I want you to work on interacting and talking with people with your hands up and around the face. If it's not natural for you, because it is not natural for me at all, you can kind of work yourself through it. You can start with simple things like, hey, kind of, work your hands off of each other, work your hands, kind of off each other while you're kind of working yourself through it. And then what we're trying to get to is we're trying to appear as un-fence-like or as un-cop-like, security-like as possible. What I mean by that is I've had an interaction with Jared where this is at a gas station, gas pump or whatever, and I'm having some sort of, unknown contact or field contact with Jared. If I'm like, excuse me, sir, could you hold up right there, sir? Yeah, everything's like real great. I don't know what's going on, right? Are my hands up and around my face? Yeah. Does that look like a person who's natural and like secure in my position? No, it looks like he's probably like, especially if he's like a dude who's like been out and about before, he's already like, he's pegged me as like, he knows what's going on. You do that around like the guys down, around Siena Francis and stuff like that, they'll immediately be like, bro, what are you doing? Like, cause they get it, right? So the goal would be, to kind of talk, just kind of like regular hand motions, I could be up and around here and stuff like that. I don't have to always be in my kind of like weird interview stance, but if that's where you have to start yourself from is kind of, more of a, hand on hand or kind of like a, traditional kind of interview stance, then we'll kind of start ourselves from there and kind of work ourselves, into being more natural as we add the verbal component to it. Now, as far as how I stand, just with my body position and my feet. So a couple things. So one, if I do have someone who's relatively in my proximity, I want to be in some sort of, basic physical stance that allows me to just, not get blown over by a strong wind or something like that. And then a lot of times what we talk about is kind of occupying the center line is kind of a typical, giveaway or typical like action of someone who's potentially aggressive. And what I mean by occupying the center line is if you imagine Jared has a spine, right? It's in the back. If you imagine a straight line here in the front, if he's constantly trying to line himself up directly, center line to center line, that's something I can kind of see. So as I'm standing here, I'll kind of like to take myself a little bit off center. Right? So one, he has to constantly adjust to me a little bit if he is, acting a little bit fishy and stuff like that. And then as we get into things more like where I might have to, switch to violence, I'm trying to open up potential ways that I might have to deal with him, whether it's through striking or grappling, that are easier served if I'm, off of the guy's center line. Does that kind of make sense from a basic standpoint? Okay, so now as we kind of work into our verbal component thing, I want to touch real quick on when we're talking about self-defense and the legality of self-defense. There's usually 3 pillars or 3 legs of the table that people kind of talk about. Does anybody know what those are? Do you know what one of them is maybe?
What you knew at the moment.
What's that?
What you were thinking at the moment it happened.
Kind of. So one is proximity, right? One is proportionality, and one is reasonableness, okay? So we'll kind of keep that as a guide. So what that means is, so proximity, what does proximity mean? How close, right? Jared comes up, hey fucker, I'm gonna beat you to death. And he's right there. Do you think I've met the proximity? I would say so, right? Like he's certainly within. Now, what if he's up by that wooden, like retaining wall up there? Probably not, right? Now if he threatened me with a rifle or something, different story, right? So kind of keeping that in mind as far as proximity goes. So proximity relative to the threat that he made or that I think that he made. Proportionality. What's proportionality mean?
Size of the force.
Technically, I hate that you're right, but no. Like, proportionality in this case, what's that mean?
The amount of force.
What's that?
The amount of force that they may have against you. As like
Basically, yes. Is your response relatively proportional to the threat or to the actions of the person? Which means if Cindy's like, hey, I'm gonna throw this bottle of water at you, and I shoot her, do we think that that's proportional? No. Probably not, right? Now, what if Cindy's like, hey, I'm gonna hit you over the head with this shovel, and I shoot her, or I take out my own deadly weapon? Would we say that's proportional? Yes. Deadly force or the potential of deadly force or the potential of deadly force. And then the third one we said was reasonableness. What do we mean by reasonableness?
Would anybody in your situation essentially reasonably do the same thing?
Yeah. Would a reasonable person do what you did in that situation? So never take any of my legal advice because I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. But what the legal statutes always come down to is reasonableness, not correctness. And what I mean by that is if Jared goes, you know what, I'm gonna fucking kill you, I got something for you, and he reaches in his pocket and I go, get your hands out of your pocket, and he doesn't, and I burn him down, would a reasonable person think that he was going for a weapon based on what he said? I would say so, right? I shoot him, he starts crying on the ground, we call the ambulance, we get over there, and he's got a teddy bear in his pocket, right? Does that matter, technically speaking, when it comes to reasonableness? No, it does not, right? You do not have to be correct, but you have to have acted reasonably or in a way that a reasonable person would act. Does that make sense? And that's it's kind of a weird thing to kind of, consider when it comes to that, which is again, and particularly in regards to the security stuff, is you don't have to have guessed correctly based on the guy's threats and his proximity and his actions, but you have to have guessed in a way or acted in a way that a reasonable person would. Is that kind of, everybody good on that? Anybody have any major questions over those things? Okay, so now what we're going to get into, as I said, the verbal component. So verbal component, very simple. I kind of just break it into 3 basic things, right? So for the security officer or, kind of the law enforcement side of things, we typically say that we're going to ask, we're going to tell, we're going to command, or we're going to order, right? For kind of the just everyday, like out and about, I like to just make it ask, tell, yell, right? Like real simple, very, very simple when it comes to that. So now, the first thing I'm going to teach you is going to be the most useful phrase that you're ever going to learn when it comes to security, and you're going to hate what it is, right? The first thing that we're going to learn, so I said ask is the first thing, right? So Jared's some dude, he's walking over. Hey, can you hold it up right there, bud? Simple, right? Now, why do you think that is a useful phrase versus Jared's walking over? Hey, how can I help you, bud?
Because instead of inviting him closer to you, you're keeping that distance.
That's a way to say it. What did my first question have that my second question didn't have?
Well, if If he continues to close in on you, you set a boundary.
Boundary. Good word. That's exactly what it is. The first question had a specific boundary. There was a thing that I wanted to have happen, all right? And that's kind of a key component of all these things, right? Hey, can you hold up right there, bud? Cool. Hey, how can I help you? What's going on, man? Is there something you need help with something? Like your car broken down or things like that, right? I can deal with it at that distance. So I ask, all right? And then you'll also notice that I'm going to control the interaction with my voice relative to what's going on, right? So I said, hey, can you hold up right there, bud? And he does. What is a good thing to say immediately after that? Thanks. Thanks. Right? Yeah, he did exactly what I asked. And let's be honest, 99.9% of the time, he's not out here trying to attack you. Like, who's ever been attacked randomly at the grocery store or the gas station or the convenience store or whatever? I mean, I haven't, but it happens every day. So just kind of keep that in mind. So we got our ask and we got our tell, right? Same thing. Hey, can you hold up right there, bud? Hold up! Hey, what's going on, bud? You know, why you kind of came over a little quick? You know, is there something that I can kind of help you with? We can kind of converse at this distance, real simple, right? Easy progression, right? I asked him to stop, to hold up right there, and he didn't. So what did I do next? I told him, raised my voice a little bit, still with a boundary, all right? Ask, tell, and then what's the third one? Yell, right? Hey, can you hold up right there, bud? Hey, hold up. Stop! Hey, can you back up a little bit? Can you back up a little bit? All right, thanks, bro. Hey, man, I'm new in this city. I kind of don't know what's going on. It's dark. You just kind of came up on me a little quick, having a rough day. Didn't mean to scream at you, but, you spooked me a little bit. What's going on? Is there something I can help you with? Or, what's the deal here, bud? Right? Now, be honest. Who jumped a little bit when I screamed at him? Yeah, right? That's intentional, right? I ramped up what I was doing, as far as the volume, and switched my words, right? Got down to stop. That's also a good time where you could add cursing in there. Fucking stop, right? Something to that, when it comes to that. Now, what was the other thing that I did with that? I asked him, I told him, I yelled at him, and then what happened? He stopped. So after he stopped, then what'd I do? I asked him to back up a little bit, and where did my voice go? Back down, right? So I socially rewarded the behavior that I wanted, right? If I just, my mouth hurts from yelling that loud, right now. But who thinks I can stay at this level the whole time talking? Right? No. And do you think that's going to bring that situation back down? I would say not only no, but hell no, right? So kind of keep that in mind, which is from a social standpoint, I'm rewarding the behavior that I wanted by then bringing my voice back down, but I can take it back up again, right? So in this, example, so he's coming at me, fucking stop! Hey, get back, stop! And he's still not, right? So I got to stay up there, and then that's going to kind of lead us as we go further on throughout the day as far as now we're obviously in escalatory measures and things that we've got to do. So who's got any major questions over the three basic things that we're doing verbally with our ask, our tell, our yell, or ask, tell command? What's that? Oh, it's him over at the door. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is we'll get just, partnered up so everyone get in pairs, and I want us to work our way through this, and I want you to just have normal reactions. So you just go back and forth. Jared's going to be a guy walking up on John. John's going to work his way through the ask, the tell, all right? And I want you guys to stop at the tell every time here for a few reps. That way we're constantly working there. I want you guys to work your way through controlling your voice. Then we'll kind of add in the having to yell thing. And I want you guys to work on that high compressed fence within. Again, if it's really unnatural for you, just sit there and work your hands together until you can kind of work it, right? It's a lot of stuff to do to add the, the visual component, to add the, to add the verbal component, and to add what the hands are doing. Is everybody good on that? Okay, so let's just grab partners. We got plenty of space, so spread yourselves out and just work ourselves through that. We're going to get some good reps here. All right, let's rock.
Stop! Stop. Hi.
You need to stop.
Yeah, keep it going a little bit though. So don't make everything just a ask, tell, stopped. Try to work your way through it a little bit more off of that. Yeah, well, and that way she's got to kind of like think herself through the social situation, right? Yeah.
Buddy, how are you? Can you stop? And stop. Stop.
Okay. Hey, stop. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, okay?
Okay, so let's work on the hands. And remember, start by asking him, right? More than likely, he's just a freaking homeless dude. Like, or some fucking dude who's like just roaming around out here, right?
Is that
Like,
can you stop for me?
what's that?
Is that what you're saying? Like, can you
Exactly, right? Like, you know, I don't know how old you are, but how many times have you ever actually been attacked by somebody on the street? Once, right? Which is not nothing, but you could easily say that almost every time that you are out and about and somebody that you don't know makes contact with you, there's nothing violent about it, right? So keep that in mind. That's why we start with, hey, could you hold up right there, bud? And you don't have to use my words. Use words that make sense, that work within, you know, if you're a little more hood than me, talk a little more hood. I'm fucking white trash. I don't talk like I'm hood because it would come off as disingenuous. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Hey, how are you? You know, I'm gonna have to stop. I need to stop. You know, I don't have food for me, don't have anything for me.
Hand out to strangers. I know you
So was just lying to me. I saw the outline of the phone in his pocket. Hey, man, can you stop right there for me, please? Hey, what can I do for you today? What are you looking for, dude? Omaha. I've never been there, but I bet we can probably look it up for you. Are you from here, Chad? Yep. Well, you have a way to get there? I don't have a car, man. You don't have a car? All right. Can you move there? Stop. Hey, stop. I don't have any cash. I don't carry any cash. All right, so, but like I said, we can try to get you squared away. I'll try to get you to the ATM.
Hey, you need to stop.
Hey, you stop.
Hey, let's work on keeping the hands up around the face. Yeah, I'm just
Okay, just in general.
I'm just looking at the whole group over here. Call me.
As soon as you start walking up on me, I'm instantly right here, though.
Yeah, and that's like something that like you have to try to work through as a guy who has fighting experience, because the side of that, and it's actually one of the things I'm going to address next, because the problem with that is that that's escalatory. Exactly, right? And that's the true art form of guys who are really good, like, you know, verbally and with the good fence, is that you don't know you're being controlled by the fence, right? It's like you don't know that, like, you know, you relax, jeez. Like, you don't know that, like, you know, hey, I'm just having an interaction. I get it. Like, things are going on. You and I, we could have a good conversation about what's going on over here. It's like, if I do it well, you don't know that I'm controlling you with the fence, but I'm controlling you purposely with the fence. Whereas if I'm like, hey, you and I, we could have a good conversation, all right? Like that, it doesn't look anything remotely social or normal, right? And so I'm immediately escalating, because now he's going to start to feel that I'm trying to push him around, so it becomes competitive. He's going to try to push back, which is just kind of a natural thing, you know?
I feel threatened.
What's that?
I feel threatened when you come up like that. I'm like,
I have no doubt that you do feel threatened, but I'm not threatening you. So that's a you problem there, bruh.
know,
Like,
I know.
listen, I get it. I'm kind of a human weapon, but all right, hey guys, finish up the rep that you're on, and we'll bring it back up, and we'll kind of keep working what we're working here.